Barron. Justin Barron off the boards, taken away. Oh, big hit by Trouba, and Barron is down.
Shot. This is the easiest I've ever to answer.
I'm going to say beer. I can't even begin to describe.
I'm actually going to go crazy. I'm going to buy everybody around on this one. And welcome back to NHL Bar Talk, everybody, where we're gauging our confidence on NHL topics based on our choice of drink. You're so confident that you're buying around? So I'll have a beer. Oh, or I need a shot. Play along in the comments down below. Guys, back to the main story right now. Filk, Jacob Trouba, another big hit last night. This one was on the brother of former Ranger Morgan Barron, Justin Barron, and it didn't look good for him. But the NHL said they would not discipline him for the hit. The NHL should fine or suspend Trouba for the hit. It wasn't a clean hit.
It's a clean hit. I'm sorry, it's a clean hit. Like it just. I mean, I know Ranger fans probably want to get rid of him, and they'd be okay with a lifetime ban and his contract not counting against the cap. So, yeah. But all jokes aside, no, this is a clean hit. This is an absolute clean hit. So, I don't understand. Like there's a lot of people out here that are commenting on this and don't understand that there is an onus on the player to not put yourself in a vulnerable position, especially when you know a hit is coming. That's exactly what Barron did, and that's a big part. Like Rob Schick and others commented on this. If you look at Scouting the Refs, the Situation Room responded, and the Situation Room right away said that they supported the decision not to give any type of penalty for it because it's a clean hit. It absolutely is a clean hit. And if you view it from the right angle, you can see that first point of contact is his shoulder into the chest. Is there head contact? Yeah, but it's after the fact, and it's not the principal point of contact. This is also not an avoidable hit because Trouba goes in, and then Barron at the very last second changes his body level, and that's what causes this play to happen the way that it did. If Barron just goes in, skates, and takes the hit, and he's not sitting there admiring his pass or his dump in, I mean, you're looking at a player just getting hit straight to the chest, and there's nothing to it. Someone's probably still going to go try to fight Trouba because that's what happens these days. You have to every time there's a big hit, somebody has to fight for it.
Ding, ding.
It's nonsense. This is a clean hit. This is a textbook hit. And I think there needs to be more of an initiative to have players understand that you can't put yourself in a vulnerable position to avoid being hit because you don't want to take a hit. Like, I'm sorry, but we're not going to turn this into a non-contact sport. Yeah, shot, as I think Evan called it before, or Nat called it before. Yeah, shot layup here. Get the hoop.
Yeah, Phil, because the reason why I have to mention that is because we have a new animation. There's our new shot glass right there, guys. So, we also have another one for beer.
Angry?
Yeah, he's quite angry right there. Look at that shot.
Angry.
All right, Anthony, what do you think? Should they have fined or suspended Trouba for the hit?
No, not certainly not in this instance. It's a shot. I mean, I could see why Canadian fans are upset, and there are some people that want Trouba punished just because of his reputation of always looking for the big hit. But in this case, like Phil said, Barron changed his body position. That's what caused kind of all the controversy to stem from to begin with, because of the eventual contact to his head. But this is I think times in the past there certainly have been instances where I think Trouba would have deserved something like that, a fine. But in this instance, I don't think this is one of them. So it's a shot.
And guys, they're gonna make it a shot too. And I'm also gonna I'll give everything. I'll get the hoop, get the layup out there, and also. It is a hat trick, guys. So we're just throwing all the graphics out there right now. This one kind of is easy because you're talking about if Jacob Trouba is a repeat offender and you want to make sure you're going to send him a message, the NHL, of course, would do this. This is probably one of those ones where they looked at it and went, yeah, it's clean hit. Damn it. I hate that. No, because they want to throw the book at him.
Okay.
It's not going to be a non-contact sport. So stop that. And you got to have the reputation of a guy like Trouba who you got to keep your head up when you're out there. We've all played with those players. Like, watch out for that player because, he's going to take runs. So we have the Minnesota Wild. I mentioned before, they got that 0 in the loss column. They've had 2 OT losses, by the way. So unbeaten in regulation. But they have not trailed in a single game this season. That's a little bit of a mind-boggling statistic when it comes to them. Phil, Matthew Boldy, 8 points. Marco Rossi, 6 points. Brock Faber, 3 points, but he's got a +5. Anthony, going to you. Minnesota's young core has finally arrived.
Boldy had a really good year last year, and Faber was impressive last year too. So, I think you could even said that, that happened last year. The only difference is Marco Rossi's finally looking like he's going to be one hell of a player this year. So, I'm just going to say round. And when you also consider that, even though Gustafsson is the one that's killing it right now amongst the leaders in save percentage and goals against average, they also have Jesper Wallstedt, the good young goalie, waiting in the wings too. So I think there's certainly a bright future in Minnesota, especially if they convince Kaprizov to stay in 2026. Then I think there's only good things ahead for this franchise. But my answer is around.
Yeah, I with this, for me, you could say Boldy had a very good year last year, but Matthew Boldy is actually having an even better year so far. Like, he's over a point per game. Like, he's got 8 and 6 right now. This Minnesota team looks really good. Wallstedt's on the roster. He was a first-round pick for them, highly touted, one of the best prospect goaltenders we've seen in a while. Marco Rossi, like Anthony said, is having another a really good year. Faber, he's a point every other game. That's just basically kind of what he was last year, a little more than that. But he's got a really good plus-minus, too. He's playing good minutes. The other guys I would say to look out for are probably Marat Kuznetsov and Liam Oberg. I know I've talked about them in the past, but they've got roles on this roster now. It's a shift away from the older veterans like your Spurgeons and your Brodins. Yeah, they still play important minutes for them, but it's just these guys that had to come up and had to start producing for this team in order to get this team back to a playoff spot and being like a true contender are doing the job and handling the load right now is really what I would get out of this. So, definitely a round 2.
Yeah, I'm going to take it off and put it right back on. Their young stars are really coming through. And this has kind of been a long-term plan, I think, especially with Bill Guerin, trying to really revamp this entire team. And, I got to hand it to him. He's been doing a good job, despite the fact that they've been living with cap penalty hell the last few years.
Yeah.
And and you got to hand it to John Hines right now. He's doing a good job coaching them up. But again, it's still early. And I want to go back to Mike Panic's comment that would just flash right here.
Hooray! People are paying attention to me.
Look, guys, one of the comments I thought about throwing up for the Central Division when we were talking about it was that people need to take Winnipeg seriously, but Winnipeg was one of the better teams in the NHL last year. They had well over 100 points. They're unbeaten too, and unbeaten in every way. So, is it? Well, first off, I don't know if I have a question yet. Hell of a job by what Scotty Arnell is doing right now. Anthony, what do you think about the Jets right now?
They're playing really well. Mark Scheifele, Kyle Connor, Nikolai Ehlers. Cole Perfetti's I have him on my fantasy team. He's having one hell of a year, so far for the Jets this season. And then obviously you have Connor Hellebuck, who's also in the top 5 in goals against and save percentage. So their best players are being their best players. And, I think this team is going to contend in the Central, especially with Colorado's goaltending struggles. I think Winnipeg has a real shot.
Bill, what's your thoughts on Winnipeg?
If I had to do power rankings of a top 5 right now, I'd probably put them and Rangers as a 1A, 1B. Winnipeg, for me, their strength of schedule has been kind of questionable just because they've played 5 teams that were projected to not be in a playoff spot. And I'm not trying to take anything away from them. And they beat the one team. They actually had their best game against the one team that was projected to be a team that was supposed to go back to the Stanley Cup Finals.
Mhm.
So they're doing a hell of a job. They're getting production up and down their lineup. Scheifele's got 5 goals and 8 points. Ehlers looks like a playmaking wizard right now. Neil Pionk is over a point per game, as well as Cole Perfetti and Josh Morrissey. They have 2 point per game defense already. Kyle Connor, I didn't even get to mention him yet. 5 goals and 6 points in 6 games. Guys like Mason Appleton and Vlad Nemesnikov have 5 points in 6 games. That's crazy. Like they're getting production up and down their lineup. And then on top of that, if you manage to deal with all those guys, then you've got to deal with Connor Hellebuck, the reigning Vezina winner, who has a .948 save percentage and a .140 goals against. Like, and the save he made last night was unbelievable. He made a save last night and got over to his left and stopped a shot that looked like it was going right into the net. Couldn't believe that puck stayed out. But yeah, again, people are probably going to sleep on them a little bit just because they play out in the middle of nowhere. And, not a lot of people are up to watch all their games. But they're a very good team. They seem to be a very good team again. And they're another team. They lost in the playoffs. And they've come back with a mission. And they have a lot of the same pieces in place.
I'd have to say for me, they're a little bit of a surprise so far because I thought they had the potential to really drop off this year, and they're not, because Scotty Arnell isn't Rick Bowness, but apparently I think this is his second head coaching job, if I recall correct. Rick.
Columbus.
Yeah, because Columbus was his first, and he's been an assistant everywhere, and he really looks like he's got a handle on this. So, hopefully he keeps that up because he's been an assistant. He basically. In a way, you could laugh about it. He's sort of a lot like the guy that left, Rick Bowness, who was the assistant coach almost everywhere, had a couple shots at head coaching jobs, but ended up not really sticking with a lot of places, and then did a great job at his last 2 stops. Hopefully that's the same thing. And you guys are looking like the start of last year all over again for the Rangers. Yeah, well, hopefully we'll see more of that. But again, it's a long way. And as far as the Rangers and a lot of their fans are concerned, it's call me in April. We'll see how that's going to be, or even March, because they want to know what's going to change with that. And
your ideas are intriguing to me, and I wish to subscribe to your newsletter.